Florida man makes announcement. Which Florida man? What announcement? The breakdown starts now. Good evening and welcome to The Breakdown. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is the Rick Wilson, and we are 2 full days post the Florida man's announcement that he's running for president again. Now, at this point, Rick, we don't know which Florida man because there's 2 of them, and 2 of them who seem to be running for president. One has actually announced. The other one is just flirting with the announcement right now, but doing some things that look like he's going to run. But we are talking about Donald Trump. Yes, folks, Donald Trump is back. He never really went away, but now it's official. He's actually running again. And I don't know if you watched it the way we did, but that was a very different announcement, Rick, than in 2015 or when he did his kickoff for re-election in 2020 or I mean, it was super low energy Trump. I think his Adderall prescription ran out and he was like, oh, they had
There's a global Adderall shortage right now. And I think
that's real, actually. That's a real thing.
I'm not kidding.
We're not making that up. That's actually a real thing. But I don't know if it's specific to Palm Beach County or what, but it was a particularly strange announcement in my opinion. Because you know why, Rick? He was reading. The consultants tried to get him to read a script and like do a more, I don't know, subdued, like prestigious kind of like adult announcement. And the people were so bored. They were so bored he had to go off script to try to keep them engaged.
You could hear the work of a professional speechwriter occasionally poking out through the speech.
Right, if you can make it through a full sentence.
Desperately trying to, but it's like trying to make a baboon read Shakespeare. It doesn't work. Right. He may hold up the folio for a moment and stare at it and make noises, but he doesn't understand it or internalize it or believe any of it. So, look.
And he also doesn't read very well. And we're not just saying that, like he literally has a tough time reading.
He can't really, he's not really terribly literate.
No.
But I will say this, though. I think a lot of people who said it was low energy and slow and weak, they're not wrong, but there's a dirty little secret here. Trump is a showman when he's allowed to go and do a show.
Right.
The speech as a traditional model of political communication is something that is not suited to him.
That's right.
Look, if I was Jason Miller and Susie Wiles and Chris LaCivita, I would have said, shit, boss, go out there and just rip.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have had more fun. He would have put the music on, done his little dances with his little lemur paw dances.
Did you call him lemur paws?
I did. I called him lemur paws.
That's I've never heard you use that phrase for the little hands. Before. That's very good.
I have to say this week, I've my best one this week, though, is I refer to the Trump's family as dollar store secession.
I saw that. That was fabulous. As a fan of Succession, which is one of the greatest shows ever on television, that was fantastic. Yes.
Well, but anyway, like I said, they picked a format that I think was a compromise between various warring factions inside Trump world.
Because they were trying to stop him from doing it. So they were like, well, shit, if you're going to do it, then at least can you try to do it like this?
Way.
Right.
So now look, but here's the thing. He started the clock. He's now going to go talk to the Republican Jewish Coalition, the America First Coalition. He's going through this list. I mean, they're scheduling him to go do speeches and events. They're scheduling him to do virtual drop-ins with conservative groups. They're actually doing a campaign, which is a little unusual, since normally it's like whatever gives Trump whatever he wakes up in that morning thinking he's going to do that day, his impulses govern everything. And there is a certain degree to which, yes, it's the earliest ever. It's the earliest guy out of the gate. It's going to put us all through 2 years of hell, but it does do something to DeSantis, Cruz, Hawley, Haley, Chris Christie,
Pompeo.
All these other people who want to be, who want to be president. Now they don't get to sit on the sidelines as long as they had hoped. What they wanted was to neither Trump nor DeSantis to get in, but for both of them to throw lob mortars at each other for a year, and then they jump in at the end and hope the destruction works. It won't. It didn't before. It's not going to now.
Right.
But
Especially,
all these people, I mean, Mike Pompeo is showing some leg here, Mike Pence, the whole and it's just like, come on.
Speaking of come on, just as an aside, did you freaking see Mike Pence on CNN last night?
I did. And I'm just
I
like,
mean,
who let this fucking guy on TV?
Right.
I mean, who woke up and thought, hey, I think we should put this fucking guy on TV today because he's going to say something newsworthy, interesting, and compelling. What?
Horrible. There, it was like cringy.
Horrible.
Because I mean, he's like that all the time anyway. So a large dose of Mike Pence, I think that's like the longest outside of the fly incident during the debate. That
never gets old.
Never gets old. That is probably the longest we've ever actually seen Mike Pence in one place at one time talking. And it is absolutely insufferable. He's such a phony, fake, wannabe evangelical late night, like I'll sell you some anointing oil and a cloth to heal you type of huckster.
Let me
like
send you a prayer towel.
Right, the prayer towel. And there was mother sitting in the front row. I cannot do it. I can't. He doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of ever making it through a Republican primary. And I was on our friend Nicole Wallace's show yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. I don't know. All the days are running into each other. Where
I've been doing so many hits.
I know. And oh no, it wasn't Nicole Wallace. It was Simone Sanders' show where I said that see, I told you I can't keep up. Simone's show where I said, like, I don't, Mike Pence needs to go run for the leader of the Southern Leadership Baptist Council Conference, because that's about all he's qualified for with this whole shtick. He's full of it. And if he said in my book one more time, I swear to God, my head was going to explode. Terrible.
Well, yeah. The irony is you have a guy who will not go on television and say the truth. I was a loyal servant to Donald Trump until he tried to murder me.
But the people don't have a right. The people don't have a right to his testimony, is what he said. The January 6th, he didn't say the people, he said the January 6th committee doesn't have a right to his testimony. But in turn, that is the American people, because they are representatives, elected representatives of the American people, trying to get to the bottom of a violent insurrection that almost killed him. And he says that, oh no, they don't have a right. Get the fuck out of here, Mike Pence.
I mean, he is like the king of chicken shit mountain. And the guy is, I don't know what broken part of his brain actually thinks he can be president.
He's delusional.
I just don't get it.
All of them, they live in some weird bubble. He agreed to be Donald Trump's vice president and sat there for 4 years and still came out after January 6th refusing to say, like, enough is enough with this guy, and still won't. He still makes these little like euphemisms, like, I mean, really? Oh, this guy, I cannot with him.
While I respect President Trump, I believe that I am the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, buddy. But back to Trump, because this announcement came.
We can't escape the fucker.
Yeah, we can't get rid of him. And as many people want to try to say, oh, let's ignore him, or that was yesterday with Matt Dowd. Oh, we should just ignore him. And he's yesterday's news. We're moving on as a country. Really? Okay, at your own peril. Okay, believe me, we wish that he would just go away. But the idea that Donald Trump is now all of a sudden going to become some elder in the Republican Party and just go on the cruises and sit there at the Capitol Hill dinners and give speeches. Right? Have they met Donald Trump? They're freaking delusional. But
they are so broken.
They're so delusional. But the people that were in the audience tried to leave, some of them, and they could not. Security saw that report on that. People are like, yeah, we're going to get out of here a little early and hit the bar at Mar-a-Lago. And security was like, no, you can't leave. This has been happening at his rallies, by the way. No. Journalists have been catching like hordes of people leaving his rallies before they're over, because I guess, it's the same thing over and over again. And maybe they just want to get out of the parking lot and not.
I think they get a little bored.
Yes, it's the same shit over and over again.
So I'm not blaming people. I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it happens to even good speakers where people are like, I think I'm going to leave.
Yeah. Well, of course, Lincoln Project was ready. We were ready at the gate. As soon as he said the magic words, first out of the gate, it begins again.
Often
Donald Trump is back, angry, vengeful, ready to take back the White House and wreck America again. And who's going to stop it? These weaklings and losers, business leaders, they'll bend the knee and write the checks. The press? Too many are just here for the show, ready to both sides America to death. The law? He'll ignore it, like he's always done. No, the only people who will stop Trump are Americans ready to put country over party, ready to put differences aside to save this country, ready to work, ready to fight, ready to stand up when he knocks America down. Because it's not about left and right. It's not about rich and poor, black or white. Like it's always been, the choice is simple. It's America or Trump.
Two more years.
I know. Oh my gosh. But as you were saying before the ad went on, that we are often imitated.
Often imitated, never excelled.
Yes.
You will see other groups putting out the same version of this ad or a version of this ad. You will see a lot
versions of our
copycats
ads
out there. Plagiarism isn't good, friends. Don't do it.
No, it's very low
You know
rent.
who you are.
Yeah. So we had another one, another little rapid response, because of course we can't resist it, because there's just so much material, and laughter doesn't like medicine.
All the material.
It is, and we have to laugh to stop from crying. You have to have levity to balance all the crazy out. So here's another one of our rapid responses to Trump's announcement.
And I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
That was horrible. That is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life.
We'll have better choices come 2024.
It was so bad, Ivanka Trump left politics during her own father's announcement he's running for president again.
Incredibly low energy. I actually saw people trying to leave, and people leaving early even before he was done. He's still speaking now. They actually started preventing people from leaving.
This is the New York Post. You see that? You can barely see it because it only says Florida man makes announcement.
It's hard to imagine how it could have been worse from beginning to end, in style and substance, the delivery, the content.
And the first line is, to paraphrase Voltaire, after he attended an orgy, once was an experiment, twice would be perverse.
Yes. Not the reception I think he thought he was going to get.
I really believe that the era of Trump fandom that emerged in 2015 may return. There may be these massive rallies again where they all get jazzed up to go after it. And I think there's a danger there to that. And that is one very clear thought. If Ron DeSantis or anyone else sneaks past Trump, he could do one of two things. He could file on the ballot in the states without a sore loser law and cause fuckery.
Mm-hmm.
Or even worse, he could just sit in Mar-a-Lago and truth all fucking day.
Right.
He could go on interviews and talk about, I think DeSantis is weak. He should do better. I would be doing better. I would be up 12 on Biden. He's only up 1. It just knit until it's like a death of 1,000 ice pick stabs.
Yeah. It started already. He's already started this, going after DeSantis' record in Florida. It's already started.
It's so on brand and so ugly.
Mm-hmm. And, the thing about it, too, is that, there's been all this discussion because we saw the media reaction. We saw some of the headlines. And I actually applaud NPR, because this is the way they should have been covering Trump before, right?
Beautiful.
NPR, yeah, I have it. The NPR had the headline of the night. Donald Trump, who tried to overthrow the results of the 2020 presidential election and inspired a deadly riot at the Capitol in a desperate attempt to keep himself in power, announced he's running again for president in 2024. That is the best lead that anybody's ever written.
It's
about
so damn
Donald Trump.
on the money.
On the money. There no lies told. No lies told there.
No lies told. No lies detected.
That's right. And there were some others, like the New York Times and others, tried to kind of go there with it. I guess they saw, well, if NPR can do it, I guess we can too. But it still wasn't as poignant as that. And the Florida man makes announcement joke. For those who don't know, the New York Post, which is Donald Trump's favorite paper, run by Rupert Murdoch. Let's remember, the New York Post made Donald Trump back in the 80s. That's when he used to pretend to be David Barron or whatever his name was, his own PR person, and he would feed gossip to this tabloid. Like, the New York Post is the tabloid paper of New York City, and it is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and they are known for their epic front page headlines. And they did not cover his announcement on the front page as like some splashy thing. Remember last week they called him Trumpty Dumpty. Like, they've been raking him, dragging him over the coals. They put it down on those, we saw in the rapid response, in a little banner on the bottom that said, Florida man makes announcement, page 26. I'm telling you, there was ketchup thrown when he saw that.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Rupert's adopted actually a Lincoln Project strategy, audience of one.
Yes. Yes.
He is pushing into Trump's brain. Now, look, I will tell you, all day long, Fox was telling people, we're not going to cover it live. We're going to put it on Fox Nation Digital.
Right. We even said it that night. We were like, Fox isn't covering it. Guess what? Yep. Fox fucking covered it because they can't resist.
So I got to tell you, if you think that Rupert is unbeatable and unbreakable, you are mistook.
Yes.
Because he is a guy who does not want to see his ratings disappear into the hands of Newsmax, OAN, Roger Stone, Glenn Beck, Steve Bannon, Alex Jones, all the cuckoos out there. And they'll re-adopt the Trump lunacy in order to keep their audience.
Absolutely. When it suits them. Because we've been down this rodeo before. We've been to this rodeo before. And I mean, if they keep it up, it could be interesting to see what happens. Yeah. Can Trump still survive without all of that media ecosystem
it's a really
pumping him up?
Question.
It's going to be interesting to watch how long they keep this up if they do. Because that will matter. Now, he has alternatives, to your point. These things didn't exist the way they do now in 2016 or even 2020. It was starting. That's really kind of where they all got their big, they scaled up, I guess you can say, during the Trump years.
Right.
But he has alternatives if Fox News decides not to go with that, because then they become the establishment and he can run as a victim. And he said it. He even tested it out during the speech. I'm a victim.
Right.
So that's gonna be the
repeatedly
premise.
Tweeted out or truthed out things like Fox News is very weak, very sad.
Yeah.
I made them.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, buddy.
All right, Grandpa, time for your nap.
I know. Come on over here, Grampy. I want to shift gears for a second to the House, because since the last time we were all together, it seems as though Republicans are now officially in charge. They got the freaking 218, not to be unexpected, but still, it's like, they have it. And McCarthy is still not safe yet as Speaker. Yes, he got the nomination to be Speaker, but he still has to get the entire House to vote for him, and he can't lose a couple of Republicans.
Right.
And so he's battling for his political life, and God knows what he's going to give up in concessions. But the Republicans already started with what they're going to do. All we heard
was
laptop. We told you. We told you what they were going
every goddamn time. We told you what was going to be. That were they going to take on inflation, crime, and gas prices? Fuck no.
Right.
They were always going to do this jack off weirdo Hunter Biden's laptop. They're going to drag poor 90-year-old Anthony Fauci in front of them. They're going to go after Alex Vindman. They're going to play fuck around across the board.
Yep. And it's already started. They're out there prancing around, telling us what they're going to do. Believe them. Okay.
They always tell us what they're going to do.
Always tell us.
Always tell us. It's
always.
And we're going to burn the house down. Are you sure? Right. Yes. We're going to burn it to the ground.
As they have a match in their hands.
And reporters are like, Democrats claim Republicans may burn the house down.
Right. That's right. That's right. I mean, I was there during Benghazi. I was there during all of the oversight committee hijinks that Jim Jordan, all of them pulled for all those years. And I'm telling you, we're going to see this clown show again. And Democrats, I just hope they're ready. Speaking of that, we got to give some flowers to Nancy Pelosi. She made the announcement today that she is stepping down from leadership. She'll still be in Congress, but she will no longer be leading the Democrats, where she has been basically their leader for 20 years. And the rest of the OG triumvirate, as I call them, Hoyer and Clyburn, they also will not be running for leadership positions anymore. They are passing the torch to the new generation.
You know, I have to say this in
I have mixed feelings about it.
There was a scenario where one of them or both got stubborn, Steny and James, and said, nope, it's my turn, and tried to burn the house down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all three of them have made the right choice, because I think Hakeem Jeffries is tremendously charismatic. I think he does good television, and I think that's really important as a speaker. And I think he can bridge the progs and the center left Democrats in a pretty effective way. I think he's got a pretty good shot at having a functioning coalition. I just have one recommendation for him. I think it's the most important thing of all. He needs to embrace the philosophy of fuckery.
Yes.
And he needs to embrace the philosophy of do things that put the Republicans on defense. Do not let them get out there and run with the ball all the way down the field and say, how dare they? Those shocking scoundrels, those scalawags, I won't stand for it.
Right.
No, you have to cut them off at the knees.
That's my concern. As you know, I know a lot of people are they're excited about Hakeem Jeffries and having new blood in there. And yes, they needed fresh blood. I worry about losing the toughness and the institutional knowledge of how to beat back the Republican fuckery that we are going to see take place. They're every living, breathing, waking moment, they are plotting how to own the libs. And they've been doing this a lot longer than the Democrats and the Hakeem Jeffries of the world have been in Congress. So they have mastered this. And I just hope that they're ready for it. I really, really do.
I wish them more. I think that if you imagine what the worst things the Republicans can do, which is to crash the economy with a debt ceiling fight, they're going to do it. If we don't pass a debt ceiling
in the lame duck
fix in the lame duck,
I know
they're going to burn down America. They're going to wreck our markets. They're going to shut down the government, and they're going to inflict tremendous pain. You know why they're going to do it? So they can go on Fox that night and say, "I own the libs." They're going to force America to switch sides in Ukraine. Look what you had today: a press conference of the pro-Putin folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and others who are in favor not of Ukraine or freedom, but in favor of Vladimir Putin's imperial ambitions, and they are fine with the deaths of innocent civilians in Ukraine. That group is a That group makes me wish that my plan in the 1990s had been actually come to fruition, and my plan was to reintroduce wolves to Rock Creek Park in Washington.
It's not only them; it's also the Fox News crowd, Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. Last night, I happened to flip over there. I don't know why. I'm a glutton for punishment. I know. I don't know why. The headline was the Chiron was cash spigot to Ukraine must be shut off. Right. And she did a whole opening monologue about how, Ukraine had an errant missile, killed people. We can't give them any more. That's it. Enough with these people. Really? The party of Reagan tear down this wall and democracy and all that?
And again, I put it bluntly, more bluntly than some people. They don't want to cut off Ukraine's aid. They want to force America to switch sides and support Vladimir Putin and destroy Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
They want America to be on Putin's side. And why that is goes well beyond owning the libs and more time than we have on a half-hour show.
Yes, that's for sure. It's that the books will be written about that too, and some have already about that. And it's scary, and that's part of this soft autocracy that they are trying to mainstream.
That's right.
That never remains soft because it doesn't take a lot for it to go hot, and it's that's why they have to be stopped. I want to talk a little bit before we end the show tonight about the Georgia runoff because it's still going. The midterms aren't over, folks. The midterms aren't over. We still have the runoff in Georgia, which is incredibly important because even though the Democrats will retain control, they need to win that seat, because then if Joe Manchin decides
It's
he wants to go
insurance.
do whatever, then they can be like, whatever, we
That's
don't
right.
need to worry about you. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Manchin was like secretly trying to help Herschel Walker, because he wants to maintain being the most powerful man in Washington and getting what he wants when there's a 50-50 Senate. That's just jokes. But that is really important. And I know that the union has gotten involved. They have volunteers going down there. They have people who are still doing calls and everything like that. So make sure, if you want to get involved in the Georgia race, even if you don't live in Georgia, you still can. There are things you can do to help. And it's jointheunion.us. Make sure you go over there and check that out. And we also have something special at 8 o'clock tonight. We have our new venture, Resolute Square. Rick, what are we doing at 8?
The strategy room. We're going to go back on the strategy call and take you in the room. We're going to talk about Rupert Murdoch. We're going to talk about Ron DeSantis. We're going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about the House changeover. And we're going to talk about a huge mistake that the DeSantis super PAC has made today.
Yes, indeed. And the strategy call, the idea of that is to bring you guys inside the room with those strategists like Rick and Stu and Joe Trippi and talk about the strategy behind why they're doing it. Because we talk about that here, but this is a bit different. We're going to bring you in and like you're sitting there with us in the campaign rooms and what we think. So that's
the way
8
the
o'clock.
tech is built on the platform over at Resolute, you guys can ask questions. We'll see them
directly.
We'll pick some of them. And
it's more interactive. It's a whole new platform.
More interactive than we're able to do here on the LP side of the fence.
Yes. So resolutesquare.com. That's at 8 o'clock live. And you can also, there's Resolute Square on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube.
It's on all the wherever fine streaming is sold.
Yes, indeed. So join us over there at 8 for the strategy call. And before we leave you tonight, of course, because the election never stops, and neither does the work here at LP, we are debuting a new ad. It will run tomorrow, but it is exclusive tonight for all of you on the breakdown, and it is called War Drums. Take a look, and we'll see you guys over at 8 o'clock at Resolute Square.
Resolute Square.
And next week, Tuesday, same time.
We warned you. We told you not to live in a fantasy world. Oh, Trump's gone, you said. He's off Twitter. He's the former guy. Wake the hell up. Trump's back. He's running. The 2024 campaign starts today. Everything is at stake. America is on the line. We're ready to fight. Ready to defeat Trump again. We're the Lincoln Project. Join us.
The Lincoln Project paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising.